Phase 1 of Season of Discovery is almost over, with Phase 2 being about 3 weeks out, and allowing the people that are deciding if they want to keep their current main or maybe main swap. And so because of that, we're going to be making a tier list. So you can see, based on what we know now, what we think for Gnomeregan is going to be good, mediocre, or bad. So we're going to start with healers, then we're going to go to tanks, then we're going to go to casters, and then we're going to go to melee. Excuse me if I make a couple of mistakes. I'm going to try to do this in one shot, as it's a lot of information, and I want to get out to you as soon as possible so you guys can make your decision on what you want to do. So, first things first, what are going to be the best healers? As we now know that it's going to be a 10-man raid, as Angrid has confirmed it on Twitter, we are going to look at what are we going to bring in terms of healers to our raid. Personally, I play Alliance, so I know more about Paladin than I do Resto Shaman. However, I have heard Resto Shaman isn't doing very good right now, so I'm going to use that and look at the numbers and I've looked at the runes, so I'm going to use that to do for that. However, in terms of best healers that I know of going into Phase 2 and how it's looking like is 100% going to be Resto Druid and Holy Paladin. So Resto Druid is going to be the best healer in terms of healing your entire party in your raid to full rather than single target, while Holy Paladin is going to be the best at single target. So for Resto Druid, we really aren't losing anything at 42 that the other druids aren't losing. Fairy Fire at 42, it's unfortunate, but we're not losing anything over the other specs. In terms of regrowth, we don't really use it because it's just not really efficient. At 40, we unlock Innervate, which is really good as it allows us to regenerate a ton of mana, which is obviously very good. We get Hurricane, which is not very big to us, more so a balance thing, but it does give us the option to do some damage in terms of trash. Tranquility is a really good healing cooldown. It will heal a lot of people as it does a ton of damage. It's like a better healing rain kind of a thing, but it's a 5-minute cooldown. But in terms of fights, you're going to probably use it once a fight, and if we look at like Gamora, people are down to like the bubble bursting happening once a fight, so this is your once a fight Tranquility, and it'll do pretty much heal everybody up really fast. It's really good. We're getting a new Mark of the Wild at level 40. It's going to be really good. Rejuvenate at level 40, unless we get some kind of room to enhance it, it's kind of like meh. Another Rank of Rebirth is good, but it's not like a massive thing. At 38, we get a new Rank of Wrath, which is really nice because we're currently spamming our free wraths whenever we're not really healing. So this will just have our damage be really good. And Healing Touch at level 38 is really nice because it's really just our main single target cast. As well as, I know it's not on here, but the runes, Wild Growth is just insane for party-wide healing. It does a ton of healing. It costs a decent amount of mana, but again, we have another healer, and it's just a lot of healing, and it's really good. Currently, it's actually outperforming Disc, so I expect it to continue to do so later on. Because of that, Resto Druids are going to be S tier. Holy Paladins are also going to be S tier because they're going to be our best single target healer. If we look at Paladins on what they're losing, unfortunately, they don't get cleanse until level 42. This kind of sucks because we would rightly like a cleanse in Gnomeregan for the poison dispel for the second boss. I believe, when does Druid get their cleanse? Let's take a look. I assume it's before this. Sorry if I'm going back. Abolish poison at 26. So Druids will really be the only real cleanser for our raid, as we won't be getting it as a Holy Paladin, only Druids will. So that's unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world, because, I mean, we're bringing in Druid anyways. Might doesn't affect us, as that's going to be like a Ret Paladin thing. Flashlight at 42 is unfortunate. However, at 38, we get Holy Light. That's really good. At 38, we're also getting Seal of Wisdom. This will help us keep our mana up. Also really good. We get Blessing of Light. This will help us with our single target healing. Will be really, 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 really nice. And we get the free mount. But because of numbers and a lot of stuff they have, Divine Shields, as well as Fire Resistance Aura for a lot of the bosses in Armagon are going to be doing fire damage. Preferably, I'd like to get a Resistance Aura, kind of like how, or Nature Resistance Aura, kind of like how Shamans have Nature Resistance Totem. I hope this is going to be like a rune for Paladin for Phase 2. And it would be really nice to have some nature resistance for it, because pretty much all of the damage in Armagon is going to be fire, physical, and nature. So if we can have nature resistance aura and fire resistance aura on Paladin, that'll be great. But because of the numbers and just it's really good at single target healing, it brings really good utility. It's able to keep itself up with mana because of Seal of Wisdom. It's just a really good overall healer, and it just does single target better than every other healer. In third place is going to be our Disc Priest, which is what you're going to bring instead of a Holy Paladin for Horde. Disc Priest is still really good after the nerfs. In terms of its abilities, at level 42, we get a new rank of Power Word Shield, which is unfortunate. 42 is also Shadow Word Pain. 42 is also a new rank of Holy Fire. But at level 40, we get Greater Heal. That's awesome. That's going to be a lot of healing for that. We get Inner Fire. We get Prayer of Mending. We get a new rank of Renew at 38. We get a new rank of Smite at 38. And we get a new rank of Flash Shield at 38. Unfortunately, Power Fortitude's down here, which is kind of unfortunate. And Power Word Shield, last one we get, is at 36, which is also sucks. But a lot of rehealing is going to be Penance, Prayer of Mending, and then if we need to do a single target, we have Greater Heal now. So Priest is actually in a pretty good spot. It's just with the nerfs, it's not as good at single target as a Holy Paladin, and it's not as good at party-wide raid healing as Resto Druid. So it's kind of like that jack of all trades where it's like it's decent at single target, it's decent at raid healing, but it's not the best at both. So in terms of comps for Alliance, I would take Resto Druid Holy Paladin, and in terms of comps for Horde, I would take a Disc Priest Holy Paladin, or Disc Priest Resto Druid. Now for the other healers, Holy Priest isn't going to be taken. We can really just change this to Beast, not Blade, or there's just a better spec. Disc Priest is just better than Holy Priest right now. Because Disc, once it hits 40, you get a Power Word Infusion compared to the Holy Tree. It's just not even comparable. So we're going to stay Disc for Phase 2. For Arcane Mage, it's going to probably fall into the B tier just because these are just doing better. Yes, you do a lot of damage as Arcane while healing, but the amount of healing that it costs for mana is just not amazing. You can pull it off. It's just, they don't bring anything special, as they're not like a normal healer. They don't really bring any utility that the other mages that are just DPS are going to bring. It's just not worth talking about. So it's going to be in the B tier because it's just not it. Resto Shaman, I'm going to put in the B tier. Some might put it lower. The reason I put it in B tier is its utility. Its healing isn't far off from Disc Priests. It's just they aren't as good as Disc Priests. They have single target like Holy Paladin. It's just not as good as they don't bring the same utility. They bring a lot of utility. It's just I would rather have a Disc Priest than a Shaman. It's just how it is. It's just not good. If they get better runes, that'll be good. Healing Rain, it does healing. It's just not very fast, and I don't know how fast they're going to be doing abilities in Normagon, and I'd rather it be good and fast, like Prayer of Mending. It's just an instant heal as soon as it does it. while Healing Rain is like very slowly bringing it up. It's just not it. Now, for tanks, the best tank in Phase 2 is definitely going to be a Prop Paladin. The reason for this is Gnomeregan has a boatload of adds. Prop Paladin is really the only tank that's not having issues in terms of dropping or holding threat. Every other class is really holding threat, or really struggling to hold threat. In level 40, we get another Ring of Devotion aura. If we want to, we can run Seal of Wisdom if we're struggling, but we probably won't. We get Divine Shield, but mostly it's because they just do tanking better. They're very good at surviving. They can bring that fire resistance aura that we talked about earlier. If they get nature resistance, they can bring that. They can tank all of the as. They can do single target just great, and they are really good at what they do. If we look at Prot Warrior, I think Prot Warrior will be probably equal, if not a little bit worse than Prot Paladin. At level 40, they just miss out on Battle Shot, but that doesn't really affect tanking. We get Sunder Armor at 34, and that's the last rank that we get for this phase, and it's kind of like really low. It's just not as good as Prot Paladin, but it does a lot of damage if you look at the numbers right now, obviously. I don't think it'll be doing as much damage in comparison to the other tanks next phase. And I don't think they're going to give warriors as much power in their runes as they are in terms of the other classes. I also just believe that being able to clear it faster with the Prot Paladin will be more useful, as Gnomeregan is a massive raid, and being able to tank all of those adds very easily, hold the aggro as we are getting a higher level. So like currently BFD, you don't really need a tank for trash. Gnomeregan, you might need a tank for trash, and Prot Paladin will be able to hold that aggro for you. Enhancement Shaman, like I said, I'm not very big on Shamans, but from what I've heard, they are looking like they're S tier right now, and they're going to be S tier when Gnomeregan comes out. So it's about all I can offer. It's just I play Alliance. I'm sorry. Feral Tank, it's just it struggles to hold that aggro. It's not going to be very good. We'd rather Ferals just play the Feral DPS because they can bring their Wind Fury. Feral can tank with the runes that they have. It's just that, like I said, they struggle at holding aggro. They're not going to do as much damage as every other tank. It's just not worth playing a Feral tank right now. We have sub as we're just subbing it in for Rogue tank so that we can use the two others for other things. But for Rogue tank, it's going to be in B tier along with Demon Warlock for the reason of currently, as we know, because obviously they could add runes like this in the future, they're really good at single target. However, past single target, they can't hold aggro because they don't really have any AoE to like take a ton of threat. They're very good at single target, but they suck past one target. And as I said, there's a ton of adds in Gnomeregan, and I don't want to clear Gnomeregan when my tank can only kill one at a time. So I'm going to prefer the ones that can do a little bit of AoE taunting versus the ones that can't. Now we are on to our casters. First we have Mage. Let's take a look at Mage again. So with Mage, Fire Mage is looking to be really good. The end of their talent tree is going to be very nice for them. The only issue is that, as we currently expect them to play Fire, they just miss their next rings of Fireball, which is very unfortunate. In terms of Frostbolt, though, they get their next rank at 38. They get Flank Strike at 40. They get another rank of Scorch at 40. Ice Armor, Arcane Missiles, all of their portals. They get the Conjure Water, which is actually really nice. They also just miss out on Arcane Intellect. Because of this, Frost could have a spot if they give him a good amount of runes. I just don't see it happening. I still think Fire is going to be the spec that they play. And because they are losing out on this Fireball rank, it's a difference of 320 to 425. And at level 36, it's 264 to 345. So that's almost 100 damage per Fireball. That adds up very quickly. Because of that, I'm going to be putting them in B tier. If we had that extra rank, they would definitely be A tier, but I still think they're going to be Bronze Array, but I don't think they're going to be stacked or anything like that. To go with them, I'm going to actually bring up Warlock. Currently, as we see it, Destro Warlock is just leagues better. In terms of spell rank, unfortunately, we're missing out on Curse of Reckless. This is in Curse of Weakness, rank 3 and rank 5. Searing Pain is more so for tank, losing out on that as well. But at 40, we get a free mount, which is really nice. We get another rank of Immolate. We get another rank of Demon Armor, another rank of Drain Life. Curse and Raggling at 38, but most of the Warlocks should be using Recklessness or Weakness. Another rank of Drain Soul, meh. But Shadow Bolts is all the way down here, which is kind of unfortunate. Life Tap also down here. Next rank of Life Tap, 46. Oh no, yeah, 46, yeah. Kind of unfortunate. But in terms of their damage, I do believe they're going to be A tier. Because they're going to be powered up by fire, and currently they're looking pretty nice. Rounding out the fire tree is also really nice for them. I think when paired with fire, like one fire mage, one Destro Warlock is actually going to be really nice for the Warlock. I don't know about the fire mage because the rank of Fireball. In terms of Affliction, as we saw, it's just not looking really good. I'd rather just have a Resto or Destruction Warlock than an Affliction Warlock right now. And personally, I just like that as I'd rather play Affliction, but Destro is what it's looking like right now. In terms of Shadow Priest, depending on the runes, it could look very, very, very different. For Alliance, as we are bringing Retribution Druid and a Holy Paladin, we don't really have a fort buff. So because of that, Shadow Priest, with all of the stuff that they're gaining, I can see being A or B tier without any runes added, just because they bring fort buff. Now, let's look at what priests are getting at 40 again. For DPS side, Shadowward Pain is unfortunate, but Shadowward Pain doesn't really do much damage anyway, so I don't really care. Mind Blast, we get at level 40, which I do care about, because mechanical mobs are immune to diseases, and Void Plague is a disease, so we will be running the rune that increases our Mind Blast and Mind Flay for at least the last half of the raid, which is the main part of the raid that we actually care about, because the first half is typically not as hard, and the ending is way harder. So us getting a new rank of Mind Blast is really good. Unfortunately, Mind Flay, the highest rank that we can get is level 36. For other things at level 38 and 40, not really much. But because we get that Mind Blast, that's really nice. So I can see them in terms of damage not being the best, however, they bring fort. So if you're Horde, they're probably more so down here, B, C tier-ish. If you're Alliance, I would put them in A tier because they bring you fort buff. Now, it's currently being theorized that because Shadow Priests are doing so crap right now, they really need something to bring them up, and regardless of them bringing fort. Currently, if Shadow Priest gets TBC Vampiric Touch, which restores mana to your party for, I think it's like 5% of your shadow damage, 100% Shadow Priest jumps up to S tier, just instantly based on that one spell, whether you're Alliance or Horde. Being able to restore your entire party's mana is insane, and I guarantee you will be a staple in every single pump at that point, if they get that ability. If they do not get that ability, I think it's bottom of A tier for Alliance, and for Horde, I think it's bottom of B tier. For Balanced Druid, I put them in C tier. If we look at their talent tree, it doesn't really give them much. Yes, they get Boom Conform, but everything else is kind of like meh. They get more power to Starfire, but the next rank of Starfire is at 42, so they kind of missed out on that. They still get the Innervate, which is really nice. They get Hurricane for AoE, which is really nice for trash. Don't know if they get Tranquility, but Mark of the Wild will be really nice. Moonfire at 40. Wrath obviously will be really nice for them. However, based on their talents, I don't know what they're going to get for runes. I don't think they're going to have the damage to really compete still. Obviously, if they buff them, but as it's looking right now, I don't think they're going to really move out of the C tier where they currently are, because I just don't think they bring enough in terms of Moon Conform. Obviously, Moon Conform's good for them. It doesn't do enough to move them up. Ellie Shaman, I can't comment too much on, as I don't know much about it, but as far as I can tell, it's not doing very good. I heard it's going to scale better, which to me doesn't make sense, because as far as I know, Ellie doesn't scale, but that's in terms of retail. But for now, I'm keeping it in C tier just based on what I know. I don't know very much about it. If we look at the class, what they're going to get it, at 38, they get another Ring of Lightning Bolt. At 40, they get another Ring of Flame Shock. They get another Searing Totem, Chain Lightning. So they're getting some good stuff. As far as I know, it just doesn't do the damage. Now, excuse me. Next is Hunter, and I'm going to put both of these in A tier, because it's really just going to depend on what you're playing. I can see both of them being brought to a raid if you need to bring two Hunters, one going in the melee group, one going into the caster group or whatever. Because MM's going to bring you True Shot Aura for your melee, which is going to be really good, and BM is going to bring you a bit more damage as they get Beast of Wrath at the end. In terms of their spell ranks, at level 42 is another multi-shot, which is kind of unfortunate. Same thing with Serpent Sting. However, Serpent Sting is a poison, and mechanical mobs are immune to poison, which is going to screw them over a little bit in terms of Chimera Shot for that little bit extra damage. Don't know what they're going to do with that in terms of marksmanship Hunters, but that's kind of sucky. At 40, though, they do get Volley, which is really nice. Another Ring of Hunter's Mark. Another Ring of Raptor Strike. Aspect to the Hallmark at level 38, which is really nice. But they kind of lose some more stuff, which is unfortunate. Another rank of Explosive Trap is at 44, which is also kind of unfortunate. Because of that, I would still put them up here. I do think they're going to keep a lot of their damage. If it's not looking very good, then they just drop down a tier, really. But currently, I think that's what they're going to be. Now, in terms of rogues, I have Assassination as the backstab build and Combat as the Saber Slash builds. So keep that in mind. For these builds, it's also got to be kept in mind that the last half of the Nomergon raid is going to be immune to bleeds and poisons, which is really crappy for Rogue because a lot of their runes are all revolving around your poisons, and then also Saber Slash, which is a bleed. So Saber Slash, I believe, does a little bit more damage than Sinister Strike, so it's just better in that sense. But I think Backstab will actually be the better build. It doesn't rely as much on poison or bleeds, and it's slightly worse than the Saber Slash build currently is right now. So I think this will be the prevalent build as the Backslash build. In terms of the Saber Slash build right now, if we looked at the top DPS for all of BFD, and we removed all of the bleeds for Saber Slash, I just removed 50% of the damage, because that sounds about right to me. 50% of damage from Saber Slash and all of the bleeds, all of the poisons. they would lose 35% of the damage. That's a lot. And because of that, I'm putting them down to C tier, because that's like a 35% nerf just on that one build. So I think backstab build would be the build for rogues. I think it'll be B tier, maybe top of B. I'm not moving just because I want to keep it organized, but I think it's close A, top B, like B plus-ish area. For Survival Hunter, it does damage, not as much as the other two specs, but it does damage. It just doesn't bring anything that the other two bring. Marksmanship brings 2-shot aura. BM brings a pet in terms of that it can tank if you need it to. It just has the utility. Survival Hunter doesn't buff the pet. It doesn't bring 2-shot aura. And it doesn't really do much for you. So it's not, I'm going to put it in C tier. It has close damage to them. It just doesn't bring anything in terms of utility. Arms Warrior, I'm going to be putting in the not played, because deep wounds will be very hard to use as mechanical mobs are immune to bleeds. So because of that, warriors are going to be switching to Fury, and they're going to pump. Why? Because warriors scale. As you can see right now, they're doing already top damage. Wait till we get to level 40. Why? Because at level 40, first of all, their weapon is insane. Level 40, they get another rank of Execute, another rank of Cleave, another rank of Heroic Strike, another rank of Rend. Unfortunately, not Battle Shout, but that affects all melee. They get Pummel. They get Whirlwinds at level 36. It's going to be disgusting. So, Fury Warrior, you're going to see a lot of them. Feral DPS, I am putting into S tier for the reason of you're going to want one at least for each raid as they bring Wind Fury. You could bring an Enhance, however, for Alliance, we're going to want that Feral Druid. For Ret Paladin, we are going to put it in pretty much... I'm just going to put it in B tier. So the reason for this is we don't really need it in terms of the blessings and utility, as we're going to, for Alliance, obviously, because it's a Paladin, are going to be bringing a Holy Paladin and a Prot Paladin. So we don't really need you for blessings. Your damage currently is kind of middle of the pack, but like the bottom of middle of the pack-ish kind of right now. And I'd rather have a Fury Warrior. Sorry. I feel bad for the Red Paladins because they looked like, oh, dude, Red Paladin's looking really good right now. And then it just, over time in phase 1, they just got worse. So unless Blizzard gives something a really good, like a Avenging Wrath maybe, or something like that. But currently, as we know, Ret Paladin is not looking too hot because of the other specs of Paladin just doing better. If we look at spell ranks, Seal of Righteousness is 42, Seal of Crusader is 42. You just don't get much. It's just unfortunate for Ret. So I'm going to put Red in B tier. I don't think they will really be brought because they just, everything that they bring in terms of utility is already brought by the other two specs being put in. So with that, we're going to make a quick 10-man raid comp as well, as we know the raid is going to be a 10-man because Agrand confirmed it on Twitter. So for our tank, obviously we're going to be doing a Paladin. This is for Alliance, by the way. I play Alliance. Sorry, Horde. We're going to be bringing 2 Fury Warriors. We're going to be bringing probably a Marksman Hunter. If not a Marksman Hunter, you're going to lose out on your 10% buff. Basically, your King's buff. For our final one, we're going to do a Feral Druid, so we have our Wind Fury. For our caster group, we're going to be bringing a Fire Mage. We're going to be bringing a Destro Warlock so that they can work together on making their fire damage better. Mostly just the fire. Mage helping the Destruction Warlock, and the Fire Mage bringing the utility of the water, the intellect, etc. For our healers, we're going to be doing a Holy Paladin and a Resto Druid, and surprise, surprise, I believe Shadow Priest will be the last slot of the raid, because we want that 4 buff, and I'm not going to be bringing Disc Priest over a Holy Paladin, so this is what I believe it is. If you want to, go ahead, have an optional Disc Priest, and if you do bring a Disc Priest, bring a Hunter. If you're for Horde, we're going to pretty much remove that. Obviously, you can't use those. Going to move in our Disc Priest. Going to bring up our Enhancement Shaman, as now we get Mana Spring, Strength of the Earth, Tranquil Totem, and that, as well as we get our... crap, now I've forgotten the name. Wind Fury Totem. And for our last spot, probably just another Hunter. Yeah, if you want to put in a Rogue, go ahead. I don't really bring much in terms of utility, but I assume you probably have a Rogue that wants to play, so. But preferably, heck, bring 3 Fury Warriors. However, I do think it'll be worth bringing Marksmanship, because that'll empower your Fury Warriors. But if you want to bring a Fury Warrior, another Fury Warrior, go ahead. This is what I think will be good for a Horde. So if you want to make a comment on the video, go ahead and do so. If you agree, let me know. If you disagree, let me know what you disagree with. Obviously, I think a lot of people will be disagreeing and agreeing. I will respond when I can in the comments to if I think, oh yeah, you thought of something that I completely forgot about, or if I disagree with something, I will be responding. And thank you. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of Phase 1 and look forward to Phase 2, as I am hyped as well, and I can't wait. And I hope you guys can't wait either, and I will see you in Phase 2.